video number 4. Four, I believe, in the Put Life Out of Its Misery series. I guess we'll. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be a response partly to Fred and Skyzor, unfortunately. Yeah, I took some. I mean, he made 4 videos. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just post them as links in the debate section. And but yeah, I'm not going to respond to it. I only played whatever 7 minutes of one video, and he's just being a total obnoxious asshole. And he's wrong all over the place. So if you're going to be obnoxious and wrong, and you're going to have terrible audio, and you're barely going to speak English, yeah, fuck you. Get somebody else to translate, and I might respond to you. But otherwise, fuck you. Just horrible. But anyway, it does, just from the beginning part, relate to Fred, because it's still on this conversation of what animals are existing for, what their purpose is, what their direction is, what their marching orders are. And fundamentally, Fred has underlying that an argument that, which really isn't on the subject of the life is pointless kind of subject, but anyway, that there would be no reason for nature to give the little Frankensteins the ability to feel if they're just going to be disposable, or their life mission is going to be self-destruction. And I'm still going to argue they have no idea that they are self-destructing, and until they do self-destruct, they have every incentive, as any other organism has, not to incur damage. The whole point is for them to wait for their glory moment to die, flying at the bear or whatever the thing is. I mean, the bee against the bear seems, yes, it's impossible odds. He cannot possibly win. But that's his mission. And he's got to keep himself in good shape until that day. And so he still needs to understand what pain and pleasure might be to avoid damage. So yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter how long Frankenstein lives. Frankenstein needs his tools. He needs to be functional. So whether your mosquito lives 45 days or your human being lives 80 years, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you've got to keep yourself alive while you're alive, to do the natural thing, to serve your purpose, which again gets complicated. So that's the word that I think we just got to throw out in a way, because it's so illustrated in this rhetoric, like what exactly is the underlying, what's even the definition of an instinct becomes questionable. So anyway, so Skyzor just, I'll get to his little quick ones here. He's basically arguing that bees know they're going to die. So the fact that they've been genetically made with a device, I can't think of the words for it. Boy, that's really annoying with the hook on it, so it gets stuck in. When they sting you, it gets stuck. They pull out basically their whole abdomen goes flying out their ass, to keep pumping poison into their adversary. And I can't remember the name of that, what it's called when it's barbed stinger. Yeah, and one thing stupid enough to say, well, wasps and hornets, they don't have barbed stingers. They can sting you more than once. They don't die. A wasp can sting you all day and he'll do just fine. But the bee doesn't know. The bee has no idea until he stings somebody. Holy shit, my ass fell out. And then he probably goes back home and says, is this bad? Is this bad? Is this bad? I mean, he doesn't know he's dead. He has no fucking clue. Just idiotic. You have no way of demonstrating anyway that bees have any idea whatsoever that they're going to die when they sting something. Yes, I mean, it's just stupid. Okay, and then he's ridiculing me and saying it's called the basic instinct, the desire to have kids. No, we don't have a desire to have kids. We have a desire to have sex. All right, and that's sort of the point here. Okay, is that in human beings, is that a survival instinct or is it a comfort instinct? Is it to satisfy a desire, or is it are we going to call it an instinct to survive or to procreate, when all the organism itself is thinking is, I want to have sex? I mean, I just don't think you can take it that step. And so what is the purpose? Is the purpose satisfaction of a hunger, or is the purpose the underlying end that will be accomplished through the behavior that nature is rewarding? I mean, from the point of view of the donkey, who's got the carrot and the stick, okay, he's getting whipped and there's carrots. What is his objective? Is his objective to plow the field, or is his objective to get the carrot and avoid the stick? I mean, human beings' purpose is to avoid the stick and get the carrot. We have, in the native state, no idea that we're plowing a field. Anyway. So yeah, then he mocked me for using this whole concept of a natural human as if somehow it's just ludicrous to talk about human beings, you know, before language, culture, knowledge, and wisdom, and after. Like there's a, you know, we shouldn't even pay attention to this distinction between a human being who has 12 years of education, the benefit of 10,000 years of cultural development, and a human being who doesn't have those things. So again, just fail all over the place. It's just idiotic not to be able to have this conversation, and to be mocked for it is just, you know, like I said, I got nothing to say to anybody this petty and trivial and silly. I have no wish or desire to communicate with somebody who's this big an asshole. I mean, it's really not that complicated a concept. So anyway, then understanding mortality. That's another issue that came up, and that relates to conference report. Because I'm going to argue that, yeah, the bee doesn't know it's going to die. You know, every animal that's ever taken on impossible odds, it wasn't thinking about its mortality. And even when human beings started to figure out this idea of death, what did they do? They mystified the whole thing. They started saying, well, maybe when you're dead you go into the other animals, or some other thing happens. They really just didn't get it. They saw people go unconscious and come back from the dead. They didn't really understand the concept, and they certainly probably didn't have any idea that there was some sort of genetic process taking place that was going to oblige them all to die someday. They might have thought, well, if I avoid falling off cliffs and I don't fight with, you know, grizzly bears, I could live forever. I mean, they might theoretically think there's nothing stopping them or preventing them from doing that, because all they would see is that there's some old guys, all right, and how the old guys die, oh, well, they get sick or something happens to them, but they wouldn't know that they're inevitably going to die. So that concept of mortality would be entirely different in a human that doesn't have the benefit of experience that we gain, because we can record history, and then human beings can figure out that, you know, a certain percentage of women will die in childbirth because doctors have dirty hands, and then they'll say, oh, maybe we should wash our hands. You know, just those simple observations. And that goes back to also, then Skyzer did some more stuff about, you know, just ridiculing me, because I dare to question whether human beings are after sex or whether they're after having babies. And he's of the opinion that somehow human being in the natural state, without the benefits of society, culture, education, language, would be perfectly aware that sex makes babies. I mean, I just don't think that would occur to the average man. So I think that's a crock of shit. I don't think the average animal, at any rate, let's just go back to animals if we have to. I don't think a lion is thinking, I'm making cubs. I don't think an elephant is thinking, I'm making calves. I don't think, and no, none of them are thinking that. None of them have any knowledge of that or any expectation that that's the consequence of the sex act. So again, we're back to what's the purpose? The purpose from the perspective of the organism being manipulated by the DNA molecule, or the purpose built into the evolutionary implications of what the DNA has created in terms of an arrangement or an association. Alright, well, I wrote down here fantasy and dreams because this is all part of what human beings can do. They can put this weird, bizarre context on things. You know, we can just fantasize, create talking trees, and make the world so much better place. Or we can make ourselves hungry for something by painting a smiley face on it. You know, if I give you two kinds of potato chips, one of them that's, you know, shaped like a 800-pound woman, and one of them that's shaped like a, you know, 100-pound woman, you know, which potato chip are you going to find tastier? You know, that kind of bullshit. I mean, we can project so much onto our world through just this capacity to create a fable or a story or a mystical, magical something, you know, some sort of bonus extra, you know, world that isn't anything to do with the reality, and completely pervert all meaning. And even our instincts, our basic instincts to some extent, can be bent and twisted by what we contrive on top of things, what we build on top of them, what kind of magic and mystical bullshit we tie to things, and what kind of associations we make between things. Death might not be so scary if everybody you saw die never died in pain or suffering or deteriorated or diminished. I mean, all these things are going to depend on your exposure and how the painting has been painted for you. What kind of painting you're seeing, a Rembrandt, a Picasso, you know, what kind of drawing of life your perception, your experience is allowing you to see. So anyway, I'll get to conference reports a little bit here.
For self-sacrifice, they wouldn't even think of it as self-sacrifice. They would just, you know, do the making the bridge across a river thing, or just taking on an insane odds, you know, by, you know, fighting a cat or something, you know.
Yeah, but they're not going to know it's insane odds, and even if they did know, it wouldn't matter because they're going to be driven by the passion of it. So let me let you go further here.
Because they would be, as you say, horny for it. And I think that's dead right. You know, they wouldn't be horny for personal survival. They wouldn't be horny for that certain self-survival in that kind of way. And if you're not horny for self-survival, if you're horny for something else, you know, this thing we think of as self-sacrifice, then it would be insane to have pain. You know, nature would not, well, I can't imagine why evolution would confer a sense of pain on you if it also conferred on you a sense of a desire for self-sacrifice under certain circumstances. And sure, we have that.
Yeah, well, it's because they're going to be used for different purposes. So there's no point in pointing it out. I mean, you're even as sentient organisms, okay? I mean, if you're sitting there and your kids are in jeopardy of being run over by a car, well, you're going to muster your little superhuman powers, and you're going to be jumping, and you're going to be pushing, and the car might be smashing you and crushing you, but whatever. The point is, you're going to be full of adrenaline. You've been in fights, Fred. You know how it works, okay? I mean, in the moment, you're not going to feel anything, and it wouldn't matter if you did, because you're so full of of this motivating desire to put your fist through somebody else's face that nothing's going to get in your way. That's just what you're going to do until something really stops you hard, really hard, and then you're still going to suffer afterwards. You're not going to be, we're not going to be given the benefit of bliss because nature somehow understands it would be terribly cruel to impose pain on you after you've been defeated and crushed. No, it's still going to make you suffer. Because it doesn't give a fuck. I mean, it's just not going to be, that's just not part of the equation. The equation is provoking the behavior. It doesn't give a damn what the consequences are. And again, the faculty of feeling doesn't just have a singular purpose to accomplish the life-ending self-sacrifice. I mean, the ant doesn't exist for that one day. The ant has to exist the whole life cycle to perform. I mean, you know, first it takes care of young, and then it does this. I mean, they go through a whole stage of existence like bees. They go through different tasks and jobs. And for a bee, the last job is going out the door and stinging somebody. All right, it's the old bees that are doing that, not the new bees. Let's see, what's the point I want to make? So it has a certain economy built into it, but the capacity to feel has really nothing to do with disposability. Because you're still going to be needed to be, you're still going to need to feel to be able to do what you need to do to protect your body. All right, if you don't feel, and you're dependent on feelings to be, you know what I mean, to do what you need to do to keep your body intact, then you're not going to do it. So I mean, you know, unless you're built in with these built-in reflexes, or and with little capacity to do real damage to yourself. Little capacity to step into a fire or some other thing, then yeah, and if you're learning, you're going to need feelings. I guess that's the bottom line here. I'm still going to argue. But anyway, the whole point of this conversation, getting it back to its core, is that we are, if you look at the circumstance, we are the mule. We're chasing carrots, we're running from whips, and we're plowing an idiot's field. Okay, I mean, we are completely owned by this DNA molecule that is playing with us with a mechanism of addiction and fear. And it's accomplishing nothing. There's nothing to be planted in this field. It's just plowing for the sake of plowing, because that's what DNA does. It plows. Yeah. All right, enough. Okay, so good stuff. Till next time and such. And fuck you, Skyzer.